Hello, grade 6. This is part 2, lesson 2, quarter 3. Open your workbook, please, page 26, and follow me. Our lesson today about soil. Soil. We talked before uh, environment, and today soil. Our part today, soil and the environment. Soil and the environment. Open your workbook, page 26, and concentrate with me, please. Without soil, much of our food wouldn't exist. Without soil, much of our food wouldn't exist. Okay? And our soil divided to topsoil and subsoil. So the soil is divided to topsoil and subsoil. Topsoil, and subsoil. So if I ask you, we have two kinds of soil. What are these kinds? You can tell me top soil and subsoil. Topsoil and subsoil. Okay? We need to know the meaning of layer. Layer. Layer means a single thickness of some material covering a surface. Layer is a single thickness. Thickness of what? Of some material covering a surface. Okay, this is layer. And another word, fertile. Fertile means rich soil. Fertile. Fertile means rich soil or suitable for farming crops or suitable for growing plants. Okay, this is fertile. Fertile, rich soil or good for farming crops or suitable for growing plants. Okay, this is fertile. Another word, humus. Humus means decayed plant or animal matter. Decayed plant or animal matter. What is decayed? The word decayed means rotten or decomposed. Rotten animal or rotten plant. Okay, let's explain these parts together. Okay, so we have two kinds of soil. What are these kinds? Try to remind me. Topsoil and subsoil. Topsoil and subsoil. Okay, soil forms in layers over hundreds or thousands of years. Okay, so soil forms in what? In layers over hundreds or thousands of years. The most fertile layer is the topsoil. Okay, so the most fertile layer is the topsoil. And the topsoil has the most humus. The most humus means it's richer than the subsoil. It has a lot of humus. It has a lot of rotten animals and rotten plants, okay, or decomposed plants or animals. So if I ask you what is the topsoil, you can tell me the topsoil has the most humus. The topsoil is most fertile soil or most fertile layer, and it has the most humus, and this means it has decayed or decomposed plants or animals matter. It has decomposed or rotten plants or animals matter. This is the topsoil. So, what is the topsoil? The topsoil is the most fertile soil or the most fertile layer, and the topsoil has humus. And this means that it has rotten plants or animals matter. This is the topsoil. Okay, what about the subsoil? The subsoil is the next layer. The subsoil is the next layer, and the next layer, subsoil, has less humus and more material from rocks. Less humus and more material from rocks. So what is subsoil? Subsoil is the next layer, and it has less humus, less rotten animals or plants matter, and it has more material from rocks. And if I ask you what has more humus, topsoil or subsoil, you can tell me. Try to guess. What Which one has more humus? Topsoil or subsoil? Yeah, topsoil. Topsoil is more humus than the subsoil, okay? So what is the subsoil? The subsoil is the next layer and it has less humus and more mineral and more materials from rocks. More materials from where? From what? From rocks. More materials from rocks. Okay? Soil gets minerals from these rocks. Soil in subsoil. Soil gets minerals from these rocks. Below the subsoil is mostly rock. So below the subsoil is mostly rock. Okay? Let's move to another point. An environment's soil affects which plants can grow there. And I can ask now, what are the features of the fertile soil? What are the features of fertile soil? The fertile soils have lots of humus. Number one, the features of the fertile soils. What are the features of the fertile soils? Number one, the fertile soils have lots of humus. Lots of humus. Number one, lots of humus. Number two, lots of humus and minerals. Lots of humus and minerals. Number two, fertile soils also need to contain water. Contain water. Contain water. Number four, small air spaces. Small air spaces. So the features of fertile soils. Number one, lots of humus, lots of minerals. Number three, contain water. Number four, small air spaces. So what are the features of fertile soils? Number one, have lots of humus, lots of minerals. Number two. Number three, fertile soils also need to contain water. Number four, the last one, small air spaces. These are the features of fertile soils. Can we say them together? The fertile soils have, number one, lots of humus, lots of minerals. Number three, fertile soils also need water. Number four, small air spaces. These are the features of fertile soils. Okay, and I said before, the meaning fertile means rich soil or suitable for farming crops. Soils can lose fertility. How can soil lose fertility? By two ways. Number one, erosion. And we studied before the meaning of erosion in the previous lesson. So soils can lose fertility from erosion by wind or water. This is number one. How can soil lose fertility by erosion? From erosion by wind or water. Soil can also lose fertility from planting the same crops repeatedly. So soil can also lose fertility from planting the same crops repeatedly. Okay? So if soil becomes worn out and can no longer support plants, desertification can occur. The meaning of worn out, no longer usable. The soil became tired or became no longer usable. Okay, so if I ask, how can soil lose its fertility, I can answer from erosion by wind or water. And number two, soil can also lose fertility from planting the same crops repeatedly. So from erosion by wind or water, and by planting the same crops repeatedly. These are the factors that made the soil lose its fertility. Okay, so soil can also lose its fertility. How? From erosion by wind or water, and from planting the same crops repeatedly. Okay, and the word desertification means the slow process of losing soil its fertility and plant life. The slow process of what? Of losing soil its fertility and plant life. This is the word desertification means the slow process of losing soil its fertility and plant life. Okay guys, thank you and goodbye.